anybody that don't know what Ni Hao is, China institution is not doing a good job.
What's up, Bohan?
How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing good.
We know each other, so we're just gonna be ourselves.
That's what we want.
So I guess, yeah, he was introducing me as someone from Chengdu. So you were born in Dubai, right?
I was born in Hubei. Yes.
Sorry.
No worries.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was born in Hubei. Yichang's a pretty rural place, and after I moved to the States when I was 11, my family relocated from Hubei to Chengdu, where my family is now, where I call home in China, and that's where all the spicy food is from. So yeah, like the hot pots and the Sichuans, you know, that's me. Just kidding.
And so when you came over to the West, you lived in Massachusetts for a little bit?
Yeah, my mom was working in Boston, and I moved to Boston. Mm-hmm.
And you went to school in NY?
And then after I was in a gospel choir in high school, because I started writing my own raps before I really learned English, and then once I understood, like, you know, hip hop, as much of an individual thing as it is, it's still part of music. I wanted to get closer to music, and I joined a gospel choir in high school. And after that, I was like, I definitely want to do music, and New York, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as someone who comes from all these different backgrounds, I think you told me that in one of our last interviews that Eminem was someone that made you want to take rap seriously.
Yeah.
And actually the movie 8 Mile.
Yeah.
So talk about that, like 8 Mile and Eminem.
Yeah. So one of the first things learning English was watching cartoons and American movies and kind of reciting back the words. And I came across 8 Mile, Eminem. And it really wasn't the music because I still didn't understand the language that much. And it was about his story and how he was able to be accepted in a world that wasn't his, and in a world that he was kind of alone. And that's how I felt moving from a rural place in China to Boston, Massachusetts. And I kind of had a tough time making friends, and I thought hip hop might help me be accepted the same way that he was. And yeah, so it wasn't much the music at first, more than the fascination of Eminem and his character and his story, and how I kind of want people to feel, I kind of want to feel the same way, and I kind of want to be accepted, and I thought hip hop was the way.
Yeah. So I was watching this Vice documentary about, Asians breaking into rap. Higher Brothers, one of the guys was saying, Eminem, the reason why they appreciate him so much is because he's white and he's able to operate in this space.
Right.
So as someone who's done so much in the East and West Coast, or in the East and the West, do you feel very comfortable being in this space now?
Yeah, I think I've always felt comfortable being in the space because I never looked at it as a race thing. I looked at it as because the reason Eminem was able to get accepted is because he was good at what he does. And I thought if I was good at what I did, there was no one that can knock me for it. So I've always felt comfortable, but it was more of a starting to notice that there wasn't really anyone else out here like me trying to do what I was trying to do. And that was more kind of what motivated me to go harder and have people see me as the Asian face, doing hip hop.
Do you think you're the first you? Because, Jin is probably the last Chinese American rapper that we've seen that made big strides, right?
Do you guys know Jin? Does anybody know Jin?
He's a rapper that's signed to Rough Riders. Rough Riders is a label to DMX.
Yeah.
So basically he was a freestyle rapper before that. But yeah, he was the last big Chinese rapper in America. So yeah, do you think you're the first you being this person that's
So he was, to add to more to what Eric said, so Jin came about in 2004, before social media, and he had won 7 rounds of rap competition on BET in 2004 as an Asian person. 7 weeks straight, no one's able to beat him. So he jumped at a record deal and didn't really pan out for him in the States. But
you got
that was early.
Yeah,
that was
early. The song "Learn Chinese." He had a lot.
His hit single. his single was Learn Chinese, and that kind of boxed him in even more. It's just like a Chinese rapper on a gangster rap label, you know, DMX label. And it was just too early for a Chinese rapper to be accepted in the main audience, let alone like a gangster Chinese rapper. And you know, I've always thought about the identity of an alpha Asian male in America and whether or not there's a room for that outside of the martial arts world. Seriously, you know, if you think about like an alpha Asian male, right? Like you got like Ben Watanabe, kind of like Ken Watanabe, right? Like Japanese.
Yeah.
I digress.
Music
But-
is next.
Yeah, but I was about to say,
Music
so
is
you,
next.
you feel like you're the first you, as
Oh.
someone who's Chinese American,
I think,
who's experienced the Chinese aspect of hip hop
yeah.
and trying to break through in the West as well.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have spent my teenage years in America, and then the last 8 years in New York, where hip hop really was born, and kind of get the better context that is not just like a social media hype, which is what is perceived as in China right now about a lot of people, you know, who is doing.
Like you say, social media hype is what?
Yeah. A lot of people are getting into hip hop because it's like the cool thing to do now.
Right. And do you think that is not authentic?
No, I don't think it's not authentic. I just don't think it's what I really know, you know, and what I'm familiar with, and that's okay, I guess. But I think the better music will come once people have a better context of where this music is from and how it came about. Yeah.
So do you find that you are like a Chinese ambassador, like someone who wants to put, like there are obviously people that are looking up to you, that want to be like you, who want to do things that what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So are you trying to like educate, trying to tell people like, yo, like this is what real hip hop is? It's
No,
not
see,
all like on YouTube.
it's not about real hip hop. The whole concept of real versus non-real hip hop is not right. It's more about like good and bad music.
Okay.
You know, like hip hop evolves from Big Daddy Kane to Lil Pump, you know, and it's still for the kids and it's still for the youth. It's for everybody who's into it. But it's just about making good music, hip hop or not, you know.
Do you, as someone,
Did I answer your question?
I think you did, as someone who's in this space, do you think Asians in hip hop are at a place where we're judged purely on our rapping skills and not by our skin color? Do you think we have a little bit more to go?
Are we still like a niche thing?
Yeah.
Definitely. 100%. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like articles when I sometimes put out a song that's still Chinese rapper or Asian rapper, you
Right.
know. You don't see like Kendrick, someone putting out songs like black rapper, or like even Post Malone's a white rapper putting out songs, you know. I still think it's a new thing, and I don't mind it because as much of a selling point as it is, there needs to be some sort of awareness. And if it starts by being a selling point, and then we get into like the quality, that's okay too. You know?
I think it's a good segue into your new song that you just put out. It's called YMF.
Young motherfucker.
I think we have to censor it. Never mind.
It's called Young Motherfucker. No.
But it's the first song that I've heard from you that you're not rapping in Chinese, which is different because your EP overseas, you've done that, half Chinese, half rap, or I'm sorry, half English.
Yeah.
So
I thought that made sense. You mean like half my identity is growing up in China, half growing up here, and everything starts with imitation. When I first started rapping, it was only English. I was copying whoever I thought was the best, and I wanted to be the best, and I thought copying the best was gonna take me there. And then I realized, I did Apollo Amateur Night 6 times up in Harlem, never got booed off stage. But as I realized, I was never adding myself into it. It's like hip hop is about individual, it's about being yourself. And I was like, what can I contribute to hip hop that's not there yet? I was like, oh, maybe let me start talking in Chinese and adding my identity.
It's different at the time.
Yeah, and I was rapping in Chinese on Apollo stage. And then I come off and they're like, whatever you said, it's amazing. I don't know what you said, but it sounds good. I was like, okay, like I guess I don't speak Spanish, but I've never heard a Spanish song and said, oh, I can't enjoy this because I don't understand what they're saying. Like the vibe is there, the feeling is there, and that's the best part about music.
Yeah. So what made you want to, rap in fully English on this song?
I realized, you know, I'm independent. I'm not signed to any record labels. You know, so part of being
Shout out to being
independent.
independent.
Shout out being independent. But part of being an independent artist is knowing how to market yourself and promote yourself. And part of the way I thought of marketing myself, I thought I found my sound by rapping half English, half Chinese. Slowly I realized I've turned that into a gimmick to stand out and get blog write-ups rather than convey a message all the way through a song. So I'm talking about something and then halfway through it I'm like, oh, gotta switch it up now, you know? So I'm not really conveying a full message for the sake of being exoticized, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to get back to the mentality before going to China, before like the Chinese rap thing blew up and say, okay, well, what's my original goal is to make music.
So you do not want to be associated as like this Chinese ambassador anymore, or?
I don't want the responsibility of anything other than just I'm here to make my music. But like I am gonna speak my mind, and I am going to talk about what I think should be, like what I think is the right and wrong thing to do. You know, like the song Young Motherfucker, basically its crux is around this rapper Rich Chigga who blew up off a video where he says the N-word and he has a gun and his name is Chigga, and it became a viral video. And I have nothing against him as a person. Hip hop used to comment on things. It used to talk about things that happened, and to stop doing that. And that was part of hip hop for me. And I wanted to talk about it. I didn't want somebody to. He's Indonesian but Chinese descent.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want people to look at the most popular Chinese rapper and see, oh yeah, he became famous because he said the N-word and he changed his name to Chigga and he's got a gun in the video. I don't want that to be the representation of me. You know, so the Young Motherfucker song, basically, in it, I talk about all the dumb shit I did to try to get attention versus the revelation of, you know,
Right. Yeah.
now I don't have to do that.
Yeah. So when you drop the song,
Yeah.
are you getting the right responses?
No, I dropped it way too late. I had this song so long ago. He had changed his name. After he got a lot of bad press, he changed his name from Rich Chigga to Rich Brian. He changed it back to his own name. Because he got a lot of, like, he even got, like, death threats for it's like, yo, like, we know you're trying to troll, like, but the N-word is not something you should just change it to, like, Chigga just so he can be cool. You know, like, he got a lot of bad flags, so he changed his name to Brian. And my song came out way later than that, so people didn't even make the connection. You know? There's a couple people that was like, ooh, is this a good
Yeah. But there's also another line. I think you rap something like, "I would have been popping."
Okay, so the verse he's talking about, I would have been popping if my chain was bigger, and if I had more face tats, I'd probably make more figures. Or if I pose with a strap, my finger on the trigger, like I'm really with the shit, and it's not just a picture. If I was more ignorant, you'd probably hear me say, but since I can't, maybe I'll just change my name to Chigga. Or do both. You know they say, no press is bad, and I'll just blame it on being young and count this cash. So it was more like a comment on all the things that Asian artists were doing to kind of gain attention, you know, and to me it's counterproductive.
Yeah. So in 2019, knowing that you just put the song out, are you going to continue rapping in English? Are you going to still incorporate Chinese culture into your music? Like,
Yeah, definitely. That song, it was the one-off song that was all in English because I had to drive that point home. That was more of a phenomenon happening in America than what's happening in China. Yeah, so, I mean, working on this new album and it's like, you know, half and half.
Yeah.
But not like for exoticized reasons. It just kind of made sense.
Right. As someone who's been in both cultures, like, what are you seeing as in the trends in Chinese hip hop? Because we know Higher Brothers is pretty big in the U.S. right now.
Right.
They got an album coming out. Chris Wu, obviously. Like, so what are you seeing trend-wise? Is it very popular Chinese rap out there?
Yeah, I mean, trend-wise, there's a lot of dreads, a lot of neckties.
Okay.
A lot of jewelry. I think, again, we live in like the age of likes and follows.
Yeah.
A lot of people are caught up with that. And I think that's kind of what is driving their success, the hype, you know,
Right.
and the fact that they market themselves as like Chinese Migos. It's something that's easier for American audience to kind of
Yeah.
get on the side of, you know.
Something they can.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that there's no such thing as Chinese hip hop. Hip hop is black culture. It's like if a black person starts doing martial arts and goes, yeah, this is black martial arts now. You know what I'm saying? It's a black person participating in Chinese culture. I'm just a Chinese person participating in black culture. I happen to be Chinese. My songs happen to be Chinese. That's as far as Chinese hip hop goes, as if the lyrics is Chinese. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of, like, Hi Brother, you know, they're my friends. I signed them to 88, you know.
Yeah.
But for them, they're like, yeah, we're here spreading Asian culture. I'm like, what? Like, where is that at? You know? So I think a lot of it is still just so much hype, so much likes and follows driven, and it's a shame because right now that all eyes, you know, with Crazy Rich Asians, with a lot of awesome things happening in the Asian community, we really should be doing stuff for quality and not for, you know, attention, I guess.
Yeah. So
Like, I don't want to be the token dude just because it's 2019, you know? It's like,
right. Yeah, but I think why people like you and your music is I think it's because you've done your research. You know, you educated yourself, and you're not like, you know, being a culture vulture or.
Yeah, I mean, because growing up in Brooklyn, I was insecure about black people not feeling my shit. I'm a Chinese rapper. How could I not? I was really. I wanted respect. I wanted the respect and validation before anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I went to China in 2015, I met Hi Brothers and they had dreads. I'm like, damn, if I was in Bushwick with dreads, I'd probably get my ass whooped. You know, like, no matter what the excuse is, especially if I say I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, go to the bodega, you know, it's like, what's up? You know, but, yeah, so I think because my starting point was so early, back in 2008, before Chinese hip hop was like a thing, you know, like when I got to NYU, the first thing I looked up was where did Lauryn Hill perform? Like, oh, Apollo, okay, I'm going there. You know, I stood in line in the winter from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. to rap for 30 seconds, you know, like, it was just a different agenda. You know, and sometimes I feel like I sound better talking about what's happening today, you know, because I'm like, I sound like, damn, I sound old or something. Like, you know, like these kids with the neckties and the dreads and stuff. I don't know, you know, I think I think rapping, just like painting, like anything, it's a craft.
Yeah.
You know, you have to treat it like a craft, and people don't anymore.
Yeah. Okay. This is our wrap here. So you are one of the rare artists that's able to, you know, be in the West and be in the East. What do you think is easier to sort of your success in China or your success in the West?
Frankly, because of the boom of hip hop interest in China from last 2 years, there's been like a Rap of China television reality show in China. The first episode had 280 million views. That's like Super Bowl combined, right? Like, so hip hop went from a underground thing that kids who, you know, really wanted to look it up to where McDonald's is sponsoring everybody. So, man, I forgot your original question, bro.
Well, I'm just asking, like, which one, China or in the West?
Right.
Like,
so yeah, because of that,
where were the successes, or where were some of the difficulties of
because the booms of the reality show, China, it's a lot of money to be made in China. You know, like, I'm an unsigned artist. You know, if we're talking like modern, like, statistics, right? Like Instagram followers, right? A lot of people base off success of an artist off Instagram followers. I don't even have 10,000 Instagram followers. Over here in the States, if you don't have like a certain amount of clout or credibility, you're not gonna get booked for anything, no matter how good you are, because the barrier of entry is so high. But in China, because it's so new, people are just willing to, oh, you're a hip hop artist? Well, I don't know anything about hip hop, but I'm trying to throw a hip hop show because it's the cool thing and I have a lot of family money. So that's what's happening. Like, I've been rapping for 12 years. I'm getting paid the same as somebody who just started rapping yesterday.
Wow.
But there's enough room for all of us. So it's a lot easier to make money in China right now as like a not famous artist. But in the States, there is a lot more creative energy.
It's
just different, man. When I'm in China, like I can't
You're
really
a star.
Yeah, it's
shit.
No. I mean, like, I can't really create out there. Like, it's a different vibe. People's agendas are different. You know, like they're trying to. Because in China, the idol culture is so strong, and drifting over from K-pop and Mando pop. It's hard to sell quality. It's more like how many tickets can you sell because you're a pretty face. You know. Chris Wu to that effect, you know.
I'll take it away from you too, man. I've seen you get the.
Hey, Bohan! My mom says I'm very handsome.
Just like what's next, man? Because I think you were going on a tour in China this year.
Going on tour in March. Working on a new album, a full band album. We're recording straight on the tape. For anybody that knows what that means, we're not using a laptop at all. Just excited to put out new music. On Tuesday, on Chinese New Year, on the 5th, I have an event in Noi House in Kips Bay. You guys come get some free drinks, free food. I hope that was okay, promoting that. Okay.
Does anybody have questions for Bohan?
Questions, anybody?
So,
Yes, please.
how's it going in Bushwick, everything? Are you enjoying yourself? Is it a good time?
Oh yeah, I love being back.
So we can get it.
Yes, so the question was, how's Bushwick and am I having fun? I love Bushwick. All my homies are in Bushwick. My studio's in Bushwick. My Airbnb is actually, I subletted my room. Yeah, everything's, I love Bushwick. Everything's going good. I'm actually in the process of moving back all my stuff to the States, purely because I feel like I can make better stuff out here. Yeah.
What inspires you to write, like, the themes? Like, what comes into your mind when you're writing, and how do you get that inspiration?
Definitely, all my inspirations are from my life and my story. My last project was called Overseas. It's, based on the concept that after coming from China, I went back every year to see my family, and slowly I'm becoming this, this double identity person. But I realized that's not just me. I realized that's not just other Asian diasporas. I realized that's so many people that I've met, whether they're from China or from Australia, from wherever. They're displaced, they're far from home, and this overseas concept. And the one before that, Jala, which means extra spicy, that's based on the concept of me being in Chengdu. And so it's pretty much based around my life. Yes?
Is your music in China in Chinese, or is it an English culture following the hip-hop crowd?
I put the same music out on both sides. So they're getting the same Chinese-English mess that I'm putting out.
That's awesome.
It's art, man, not mess.
Tell Jackson Pollock that's not a mess. You think it's the first person saw him do that? It's like, what did you do?
I think I read somewhere.
John.
Yeah, what's up, man? I think I read somewhere that you rejected being on Rapper China. Like you had the opportunity to go on that, and you said no. Was that purely because like artist independence and like your
that was just artist bouginess, integrity.
Do you regret it now?
I regret it at times. Because they make bank, man. Like these guys, they go on the show. They before they go on the show. This guy, before he went on the show, he was selling maybe 20 tickets, 30 tickets a show. After the show, 6 months later, he was selling 12,000 tickets on the show. He went from making maybe like $200 a show to $150,000 a show. In a matter of 6 months by being on the show. So, but then now he got into so much trouble after that. Now he's in a really shitty place. So there's a lot of good that comes with it, which is money, and then there's a lot of bad stuff that comes with it, which is not worth the money.
Well, salute to you, man.
I think. I don't know.
To stick to your art and your vision.
Yeah, I think so. I think what got me here was just trusting myself, and yeah, just gonna keep doing that.
Bohan, you have a large
Lisa.
cross at your neck.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah, are you an active Christian?
I am not, but my mom and my grandmother who raised me are, and I like the way it looks. 'Cause
Yeah, it's a nice necklace.
Ah man, like there were times when I would buy stuff for myself, and then like people was like, "Oh, that's nice," and I'd be like, "Yeah, you know, it was my birthday. I had a," and now I'm just like, "Yeah, I like it." I spent a lot of money on it. So.
Thank you, Bohan. I have a question you mentioned earlier, and I think this was the topic you also brought up. What's the importance of independence, and what does it mean? How did you make that decision to be, working independent as opposed to, I assume, finding a record label?
Yeah.
What are the advantages? It sounds like you do get more popularity, you could get more money, but what are you giving up when you're making that decision to go with the label? Thank you.
That's a good question.
I'm not opposed to signing a deal at all, but it just has to be right, like I want to make the music I want to make. I don't want to do the interviews I don't want to do. So with the last couple years being in China and with making, so I was in New York for 8 years. The only way I was getting by was I was tutoring Chinese and I was selling weed. And
All right, keep it real.
and NYU was very good to me. So after making some money in China the last couple of years, and my song that got popular out there was Jala. It was a song called Extra, and it goes Jala, Jala, Jala. It's like brainwashing. And that song got really big, and I was getting booked a lot for shows based off that one song, and I was just making money off that one song, and it felt like the worst thing ever. It felt like my career was going away. It felt like I was being singled out by this one song. I felt like I was not moving forward at all whatsoever. And so after experiencing that and realizing, oh, now that I do have more money, but I'm not as happy as I thought I would be, I realized, oh, it's because I'm not working on my craft. So to answer your question, what I'm sacrificing is, like you said, a lot of immediate press and immediate following and immediate all that, but I believe slow and steady, I guess. But again, I'm always talking to labels now, trying to figure out what is the balance that I can do me and they can still get whatever they want get out of me. Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing is creative control.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
being able to put out music you want to put out.
Yeah, and part of the reason I didn't go on the show is because the first 2 seasons they were signing you for 5 years to the show. So even after the show for 5 years, whatever your plan is, it's up to them,
I feel like that's kind of like how American Idol is, I think.
Right, exactly. It's the show is exactly like American Idol. Imagine seeing Kendrick on American Idol and being it's just not right.
Yeah.
It's not a way to do things.
Anybody else?
I got a question.
Yes, Joe.
Forgive me if I mispronounce the name, but China's Rap Battle? What was the show called?
Yeah,
The
Rap of China.
How do you feel about the reason why that show got canceled?
It didn't.
It didn't.
Like, got taken
So
out.
it got changed. So hip hop.
yeah.
So hip hop in China has 2 words, right? There's xi-ha, which sounds like hip hop, and then there's shuocheng, which means rap, talk, sing. So they banned xi-ha, so they changed the name to shuocheng, and it's still.
That was fun.
And it's fun. And so they banned it from TV, but the show itself was on iQIYI, was equivalent of Netflix, so it was never on TV in the first place. But the reason they banned it from TV was after the first show's success, they were able to do shows on national television, like CCTV channels. But now you can't do that anymore. And now, if you want to go on the show, you can't have earrings, you have to cover up your tattoos. Yeah. So it's not, the show itself is not canceled. The season 3 is happening in a couple months, but it's not gonna be the same. Yeah.
Can you talk about the video that we've been actually watching?
Yeah. So overseas.
It's a great video.
Yeah, overseas. So the old ladies you see that was dancing, my grandmother who raised me take me to Square Guangchangwu, which is square dance in China all the time, and so that was a symbol for her. I don't play piano. But it took me 2 days to learn, to look like the part. The producer is Ryan Hansworth, he's from Canada. The burning of the piano overseas, setting setting it on fire with music and kind of bringing in and burning down all the burning away all the misunderstandings in between the English and the Chinese verse, you know. As it was a lot of symbology behind this, but yeah, it's a one-shot video. I just wanted to make a rap video that wasn't a rap video, so that was that.
Are you finding surprise success with different little diasporas? Like, is it sort of spreading the way you thought? And is there much blowback from like American-born Chinese kids in like Southern California or stuff like that? Like, is it going like well received by Taiwanese like crowd demographic? Like, is it going well? And is there much like things you didn't think on the negativity side?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people who are not Chinese who hit me up and they say, yo, well, I relate to what your music is, you know? So that's surprising. But at the same time, it's not, because the stories are all, you know,
yeah,
the only difference is the skin color, right? But any blowbacks, I'm very vocal about some organizations out there who are milking off the Asian, you know, trend that's happening right now. So there are people who have commented on my comments and said, why aren't you supporting Asian stuff if you're Asian, you know, like, and
You just don't align with them, or?
I just, it's not that I don't support Asian empowerment, I just think, like one of my, everything is all quotes for me. One of my favorite quotes is like Hendrix's last album. He said, on my last album I try to uplift the black artists, but there's a difference between black artists and whack artists. You can't support something just because they're the same color as you, and if it's not good, you're being counterproductive. You're like, I'm blindly supporting this because there's not enough of us, you know? And I was talking to Eric about it. It's like, yeah, I get a lot of interviews in America, especially from Asian American media. It's like, you know, don't you think there's not enough Asian representation? I'm like, for sure, but tell me a Chinese rapper that can compete at the Drake level, that can compete at the Kendrick level, and then compete at a Kanye level that's being left out, and then we can have the conversation about misrepresentation, right? Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to have the label and be like, oh, we have, okay, the black artist, Chinese, the black artist, white artist, oh man, we need some Asian hits in here, you know, all right, let's go. I don't want that, you know, like,
you just want to be a rapper.
Yeah, I want to be
MC.
a rapper. MC, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, I think this is the time to wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.